there is a program Adobe Labs have, and I'll actually have the URL on the website, Story2Pixel.com, and it's called Configurator. And what this allows you to do is create your own buttons for Photoshop and InDesign only. This does not allow you to create buttons for Illustrator or After Effects or any of the other programs. Just at this moment, Photoshop and InDesign. All right, so let's get out of that and let's go to Configurator. Okay, so this is the splash page, opening splash page for Configurator. And let's see, right now you're kind of limited to Photoshop CC and CS6 or InDesign CS6. Is not necessarily that it won't work on CS 5.5 or anything like that. I haven't tested it. From what I understand, there are ways to output it where it can work. You'll have to do the investigation yourself. I'm going to open up what I've worked on. And let's see here. I think it was this one right here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is what we're going to be creating right here, basically. So it's buttons, and actually I can go up to File, Preview, Panel, and I can see what it looks like there. So what I want to do is let's create this from scratch. Okay, in Photoshop, you want to do 3 different versions of your buttons. A normal version, select version, and an activate version. Just make sure you can tell them apart. I have like a dark gray for the normal, a lighter gray for the select, and a black background for the activate. So normal is the way the button looks normally. When you hover your cursor over the select, it becomes light gray, and then when you actually press the button, it turns into dark black with the emblem on it. So output those and you'll be ready to rock and roll with Configurator. If I'm not mistaken, I output those and I would cut them down to 150 by 150. These buttons I made at 30 by 30. Standard is 23 by 23. That's your standard Photoshop buttons. These are 30 by 30. And then when you use the hack to actually zoom in to make the menus bigger on Photoshop, it will make these bigger also. So on these, I made them 30 by 30. I had them originally at 40 by 40. They were too big, taking up too much room. So I made them 30 by 30. And so what you would do is spit out little pings at 30 by 30 and put them in a folder so that you could get to them. I'm going to create a new one here. I'm just going to go New Panel. And let's just leave this in Untitled. Make sure it says Photoshop. In this case, I'm doing Photoshop CS6 because that's what I have running on my Surface. So you can, right here, you can actually increase the size and decrease the size. But in this case, it's going to be tall and narrow. I just want to give you the basic guiding principles. Now what you'll see is right here it says created with Configurator. First thing I do is I delete that. Problem is every time you reopen it, it pops back up again. So keep an eye on that. It tends to do some weird things sometimes when you output these things. All right, so for right now this isn't important. The dimensions are not important. What is important is we can put tools in there. So let's say that I want the marquee tool. I can put that in there, and I got a button, a marquee button. You can also do commands, and this is what we're going to be worried about. Let's see here. Go back to the other one. Let's do undo, redo, step back, step forward. You have to have some familiarity with Photoshop because main is going to be in the main menu. See, it says File, Edit, Image, Layer. And what you're doing is you're going by File, Edit, Image, Layer. So if you know where the commands are in the menu hierarchy, then you have a pretty good grasp. So if I'm not mistaken, it's either going to be in File or it's going to be in Edit. Okay, so sorry, when I'm in screencasting, it slows everything down. All right, so we're going to go undo, step back, and step forward. And that's either in main or in edit. Undo. So I'm just going to drag that over here. Step forward. And actually I'm going to have step backward in front of that. Okay, so what you could do is you can use your arrow keys and you can highlight one of them and move them, put it where you want. Another thing you can do is if you decide you do not want a button, let's go ahead and grab that button and just hit delete. It's gone. And you'll notice down here in the outline view is what each one of your buttons does. So undo, undo, undo. Now, what I like to do is let's say, you know what, we're going to put on cut, copy, paste, and paste in place, right? So cut, copy, right here, cut, copy, paste, and paste in place is paste special, paste in place. That's the one I use a lot of. Now, what I want to do is right now you can see I do not have any sort of alignment. So what I can do is I can actually just click and drag and highlight all of them. And then I can run over here just to give you an idea. You'll see up here that attribute is named untitled. That's what this menu is going to be called in this case. The width is 198 by 626, so you can actually change it here, or you can grab the handles like I did. I don't like messing with these with minimals and height and width and height maximums. It tends to do very strange things when you import them into Photoshop. It gives you the little scroll bars on the side, and that takes up a ton of room, and you end up not seeing some of the menus. So I leave those blank. Right here, menu name, exact same thing. Now, this is what we're worried about here. Okay, so we want... You'll see position horizontally is what we want. I want to put everything at about 2 pixels. You do not want to have it all the way to the edge because it tends to do wonky stuff. So I'm going to go in here, highlight everything, and I'm going to type in 2. That's going to move everything to 2. When I hit enter, you'll see they all click to the right. So I'm going to take this one now. Actually, just click off of it and then click on. I like to have them nice and close, so. You can see when it overlaps and it butts together. And you can actually move a bunch of them at one time, like this. Okay. Now, these I'm going to separate just a little bit more and make a kind of a group. I'm just going to do 5 apart. Okay, and then these. You can actually hold down Shift and move them. There we go. Same thing with this. I'm not going to do everything. I just want to give you guys a basic idea. This will Configurator, you can actually go in and do menus that fold out. I don't bother with that. I would just want something basic, because what happens is when it's full, it tends to do wonky things. It's worth experimenting with to see if you find anything that you like, but in my case, no. Now, the thing is I told you we're going to be making buttons that are 30 by 30. So in this case, these are definitely not 30 by 30. If you take this one right here, you'll see the dimensions, and you'll have to scroll down a little bit. The dimensions, okay, it should be width and height here. Okay, so I'm just going to type in 30. 30. There we go. Now, so that means I'm going to have to move everything down. Everything's going to have to be adjusted. And of course, what happens? So what I'm going to do is just highlight everything else, and I'm just going to type in width and height 30 by 30. So scroll down here, make sure you're at the correct width and height, which is the object. Okay, so 30 by 30. All right, so now we can start separating these puppies.